respect of educational institutions, I think that the government is very sadly playing with the future of educational institutions. And I think this is completely wrong. Today, what we hear is they are not only changing the timings of the institutions, classes, but they are also changing the starting date to say that educational institutions will start the academic year from April. As far as the timing is concerned, in the NCF, Assembly Noloilla, that there is a 29-hour per week schedule asa, and they are making it 39 hours. That is very contrary to your NEP framework. So I think this is wrong, and according to me, this will be detrimental to the working of the teachers, the staff, and the institution as a whole. Secondly, as far as timing of the school is concerned, why is the department in so much a hurry? Have they done a study? Have you taken your stakeholders into confidence? Have you taken the views of parents and teachers and students? You look at it, our academic year used to start in June. Why? There was a reason. Because we have a summer. The summers are very hot and it is impossible. We don't have AC classrooms. So it's very impossible to have this classrooms filled up and students attending during April and May, where it's unbearable heat which is here. So starting classes in April and you're running through the monsoon and then going on to the next year will again not only affect this curriculum and the teaching, but also affect the student mental intake. And I think this is completely wrong. What they could have done is, what I feel they should have done, they should have announced it now that we propose to have it and get everybody's next year, and they should have said we propose to have it next year and get a feedback. Directly now you're saying that like it's like today, therefore tomorrow we will implement. How is it possible? Which means now in January, end of January, you're saying that from April we are starting. Where are the teachers ready? I'm sure that parents, I'm guaranteed आवय बापून तेंगे हॉलिडे प्लॅनिंग केलें आसतलें भुरग्यांक व्हरपाक हॉलिडे हांव जाणा भुरग्यांक पासून प्लॅनिंग केलें आसतलें केसो कोर्सीस करपाक ड्युरींग समर ब्रेक नाल्यार खूंय भायर वचपाक फ्रेंडा कडेन आज सगळें काम करूं पडटलें. And is this Department of Education so insensitive? In Uttar Pradesh, even in Bihar, I've seen that the educational system has followed things in a much better way of following NEP. I am repeating, we are not opposing NEP, we are opposing the style of implementation of the NEP. It looks like there is one man who must be dictating this, how to do it, one man who sits in his house who must be dictating how you should do it. He doesn't think of other factors. It is only his way and nobody else's way. This is the way it has to be done, and the government is accepting it. Why should it be? So you have to take everybody into confidence, and I think the government should defer this, the timing. We don't have time actually in the assembly to bring up this issue because only one day. Which one shall we take up? Breaching of bonds of cash for job scam? Should we take up every other scam which is coming, and in the middle this also? So it's very difficult for us in one day to try to all of us jump on the government on one issue. But this is what the government should be sensitive to. And I think when they remember one thing, I look at it even as a lawyer when I defend the government. Government sits on a higher level. It doesn't look at an individual level. So you should, even if an individual gives a proposal, however good your friend may be, you look at a proposal from entire perspective and then you consider implementation or non-implementation or modification or implementation with a modification. But I think this speed will kill, and will kill not just educational institutions, but will also kill the education itself.
So one more thing, college going students uniform issue is going on. What do you like to say about the uniform college students?
You see, there are two ways of looking at it. One is when you have a college, this thing you have kind of a discipline, they say, but you are not school kids. Remember, in school you are kids. Therefore, when you are in school and you are having a uniform, I think that is proper because it identifies with your school and it shows, suppose you're bunking class, you are there, a child in uniform somewhere outside, or maybe lost, maybe kidnapped. We don't know what would happen. At least that is something which can alert, or we can get the child back on track. But when it comes to college, you are at a responsible level. The child is a little more mature. The child is taking decisions what course to follow, and the child has an independent sense of thinking. And at that time, if you are going to restrict them first with their first, you know that food habits, were trying to give food, you are trying to control. Now you are going to control uniform, then you are going to control what they talk. Everything is going to be like this, controlled by his master's voice. So I think that putting uniform, I don't think is, you see, when you are speaking of free thought, there are people, you see, sometimes I look at certain people and I can identify he's an artist. He must be a painter, he must be a musician. By just looking, and you know why you can identify. Because that kind of thing comes out naturally. And that is why what they want to be, what they have to, this thing. I can understand you can put like a dress code, like in the church and the temple. Don't wear something which is like, you know, scandalous. I can understand that part of it. Don't wear some top, some minis, or don't come in hot shorts and all this kind of things. That you can put those kind of things. But other thing than that, if you tell them like a decent clothing is required, then I don't think there should be a compulsion for uniforms.
Thank you. One last question. How do you see the law and order situation in Goa?
The law and order situation, unfortunately, is deteriorating day by day. And I think this is affecting us across the spectrum, not just for giving a bad name to Goa as a very hospitable state, welcoming state, but it's also affecting our tourism. The government of Goa claims that tourism footfall has increased. But the first question I always ask is, we just had an exposition, and Honorable Minister Alice Sequeira was on record to say that we had 85 lakh pilgrims footfall for San Francisco Xavier exposition. If that is the case, do you count those as tourists or do you exclude them? Number two, having these fights, murders in the beach shacks or street brawls with tourists. And I have spoken in assembly, what type of tourists we are getting are third class tourists. Please understand, the good tourists are going away and the good ones who are coming are saying we don't want to come again. I don't like to talk about it because when I talk it will have a negative impact, and that's why I have refrained. But enough is enough. If we don't talk, people are saying, why are you not saying anything? Why don't you expose what is going on? And the government needs corrective measures. Today you have changed the director of tourism. Why? I think the Minister of Tourism has to go home. It's the only way that you will get it, because it's going down slide, it's not going any way up slide. So you're understanding what I'm saying. It's not that I have any personal agenda here, but please understand, if you feel that the director should have gone, it's like even in this escape of that Suleiman, why only constables and police inspectors, the head should roll. The superintendent of police should go home first. He should be suspended. So in the same way I say, I always will target man on the top should also accept responsibility for what goes down there. And you can't just sit cozily on the chair watching the decline and going to tourism going down the drain. Look at the women. Women are being assaulted. You heard of this gang rape of a mentally unsound woman. What? Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao, you're talking about it. And there's no safety for women. This is not just one solitary instance of women being attacked. There are many. I don't want to talk about them. But this is a sad state of affairs. I know parents who tell me that we are very worried of our children going to Goa. And please, can you send someone to look after them? I don't want to send someone putting like spies behind their children. Let them have a good holiday. But at the same time, it is a concern that when they are having this, what would happen in future to their children and what would happen. That is why we are getting the kind of tourists who are coming in treks. I've said this in assembly. Treks kind of tourism we're getting. They're coming in loads there, cooking on the roadside, probably using the roadside as toilet also. We don't want these tourists. Please let them go home. This is not fruit, this thing. We have no revenue income from them. They don't contribute. They bring even sack of rice and they bring all their vegetables and they cook from there only and they go away. We don't want this kind of tourists. We want good tourists. We want quality tourists. And when Congress was there, you remember, we had good charters coming. We had international tourists coming. Now you may have some additional charters which have added, but that is nothing to restore the pre-COVID time of international tourists which we had and coming.
Carlos, the Home Minister said, Home Ministry has failed. You have been failed. Home Minister has been failed.
See, it's a complete. You see, the government owes a collective responsibility, and with the Chief Minister at the head. So the Chief Minister is holding the home portfolio. I think the Chief Minister is overburdened with too many portfolios, right from PWD to the Home Ministry to you name, and everything coming under him. I'm wondering whether he's able to do justice to it. This is what is happening. And all down there are having a free run. And it's only when we are pointing out, then you are going to take action. No. There has to be a kind of a discipline in every department, under every ministry. And then you will have accountability, responsibility, and prompt deliverance. That is all what the citizens want.